United's loss to Brighton is mainly down to the flaws in their outer position structure. Moments before United conceded their first goal, we could see them in their 4-4-2 shape. In this structure, the wide player Rashford is expected to close down the opposition wide player instead of staying in the half space. The centre midfielder is obliged to cover half spaces. Here both Maino and Rashford mark the same player, leaving Pedro free. Thus Dal had to break its shape and press Pedro. The cross was awkward for the centre back and the ball far winger gets it. Just before the cross was made, there was a large gap between the centre backs and Casemiro should have been aware of this potential danger. He missed it and after Mitoma got the ball, Martinez was isolated in that space in a 2 vs 1 situation, freeing Welbeck for the cross. Maguire was in the single culprit there, as it is nearly impossible for him to stop the cross, as a player already occupied him. Rashford had his share in the goal, as the cross could have been avoided if he didn't stay in the half space, and either one of the pivots should be helping the backline in these dangerous situations. The lack of protection offered by the central midfielders to the backline was a major problem. They were often seen in no man's land, leaving space between the lines. Centre backs are forced to break their line, and this left huge gaps for runners to exploit. Brighton is known for their strikers dropping to combine in the midfield. Still, United didn't have a plan to stop these passing lanes. Instead, centre backs were tasked to be aggressive and it backfired, as Brighton easily bypassed the pressure and attacked the underloaded backline. Notice how Casemiro is dragged by Brighton pivot, leaving large space free in front of the backline, ultimately helping Brighton execute their routine passing pattern using the dropping striker. Again, centre-back Martinez failed to win the ball and the backline is nearly exposed due to the large distance between the midfield line and the defensive line. Another problem is the non-optimal distance between the players during the press. Rashford is too much into the interiors, making it difficult to cover the wide player if a pass is made. Keeper made a good pass and Rashford had to rush to close the left back. Since the press is broken here, Brighton find it easy to progress from their use in the midfielders. This flaws in shape tires the players, opening easy gaps and decreasing their pressing intensity. The same problem is evident here. Rashford is too much inside and both Maino and him is covering the same space. Also, Bruno's decision to press in a 2 vs 1 situation was lame and it affected his team's shape. Gilmour receives freely and Maino and Rashford is stuck in the same area. This opens the centre for Welbeck to drop and find his right centre midfielder as both Maino and Rashford lost track of him. The press is bypassed and they have to run back, again tiring the players. Cix's lack of intensity in pressing was another problem in the second half. Bruno maintained his aggressive approach, but his pressing partner was slow, and this forced Maino to leave his man and cover the centre player, which resulted in free space for his man. Press is broken and Casemiro is easily defeated to allow huge space in the heart of United midfield. Each time the press is bypassed, the backline is threatened, as the double pivot of Maino and Casemiro was unable to get back in shape and close the gaps. Look at the ease in which the front two is bypassed. This is mainly due to the distance they have to cover. When the keeper had the ball, Mount had to move a bit more right to keep the centre back within his reach, but he is tasked to cover the centre player at first and then press the ball carrier. This is too much for him and the pressing angle he chose allowed Dunk to carry forward. Whether it is an individual mistake or not, the press should be intended to stop the forward progression instead of closing the back pass to goalkeeper, which Mount actually opted for and failed miserably. Maino is left clueless after the front line is bypassed, as he is the sole player covering large central areas. Rashford's position is doing nothing here as he is just staying central, not even helping backtrack the wide runner after the pass. Bruno's efforts to cover the whole pitch should be appreciated here. The second goal was a complete mess from the defense department. United had 5 players covering the 6-yard zone and 3 players blocking the runners during the injury time corner. As the ball was headed back to a free player, Anthony, who was tasked to close down loose balls, tries to win the ball, but unfortunately Brighton kept the ball. All of a sudden, for some crazy reason, United backline decided to leave the left side totally free. The left back had earlier moved right for his corner duties, so either Casemiro or McTominay is expected to cover that area till Dalot moves back. But Casemiro moves high without even checking for any potential dangers. Dalot was the only centre back in the backline as Martinez had the duty to block the runners during corners and he moved up after the corner to close down the loose ball. So McTominay had to stay central to help Dalot instead of covering for Dalot. The blame should be going to Casemiro. His experience seemed useless as he just ignored that area. There wasn't even any communication from Dalot to cover his area. It's funny to see both fullbacks mirroring each other and defending the same player. Finally, Adingra spotted the massive overload and Pedro headed in the goal. Adding to the systemic flaws, there were a lot of individual errors disrupting the attacking momentum. United worked a neat build-up pattern with Mount dropping in the right half space for a penetrative pass from Onana. Right back maintained the width with the help of the winger. The idea here should be to exploit the space between the lines, but Masraoui got the pass wrong. Martinez, who is the most technical defender in the side, carelessly passes it back to put Onana under pressure, leading to cheap loss of ball. Having Bruno in free road helped United to break out of tight spaces, but having Casemiro to enjoy the result of Bruno's work was catastrophic as he often made poor passes. The idea of using Mount as a dropping center player is good, as we have seen Welbeck doing it for Brighton, but the job given to Casemiro doesn't suit him, and the whole system fails there. Ten Hag wants to create these kind of situations to exploit Rashford's pace, but Casemiro should not be the man tasked to hit overhead balls constantly. There were huge moments for United during counties, and Bruno was working tirelessly to offer runs, but the final pass was poor in most occasions. It was surprising to see even Maino making silly mistakes in his own half. It was just Bruno who can keep his head high, at least for the efforts he made. Apart from that, Ten Hag's United have a lot of work to do, especially when without the ball.